Hello, my name is Lewis and welcome to day 17 of Decktober. Today we're looking at the $75 budget Karazikar the Tyrant deck tech. Karazikar says whenever you attack a player, tap target creature that opponent controls and goad it. And whenever an opponent attacks another one of your opponents, you and the attacking player draw a card and lose a life. This deck is all about getting those cards to goad your opponents with and also giving them options to avoid attacking you, whilst also having plenty of removal and life drain to get that victory royale. Now, let's get right into the budget deck tech. As always in these budget brews, we're starting off hot with the ramp. And first here we have Arcane Signet to add either of those Rakdos colours and Mind Stone to add a colourless or pay, tap and sack to draw a card. We have Charcoal and Fire Diamond that end tapped but give us that extra swamp and mountain option. For more mana rocks, there's Felwar Stone to again give us that red-black colour option and Talisman of Indulgence to add a colourless. We can tap it for a mountain or swamp, but at the cost of taking 1 damage hit on our life total. There's Rakdos Signet to add Rakdos, and Rakdos Locket to add either black or red, with that added option to sack it and draw 2 cards. We've got Mana Geyser to add a mountain to our mana pool for each tap land our opponents control, and Black Commander Staple Dark Ritual to add 3 swamp to our mana pool. There is Runaway Steamkin to add a +1/+1 counter whenever we play a red spell, with the added ability to remove 3 +1/+1 counters to add 3 mountain, and Grim Hireling that says whenever 1 or more creatures you control deal damage to a player, create 2 treasure tokens, with an added ability to sack tokens to potentially remove some creatures. And finally, we have Sol Ring, because Sol Ring. Before we get onto all of the goading goodness, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe for all things MTG. It's completely free to do and it helps our channel grow and grow as we head towards 2,000 subscribers. Now we're looking at those goading cards and cards that will benefit our opponents not attacking us. First up is Agitator Ant, that at the beginning of your end step, each player may put 2 +1/+1 counters on a creature they control, goading each creature who gains counters this way, and Geode Ranger with that lovely landfall trigger, goading a player of your choice when you play a land for turn. Get that Terramorphic Expanse down and cracked so you can trigger off 2 opponents in 1 turn. Next is Cardor Doomscourge that when ETBs until your next turn, creatures your opponents control attack each combat if able and attack a player other than you, with you gaining a life and your opponents losing a life whenever one of their creatures dies this way. We've got Parasitic Impetus to give target creature +2/+2 and goad, with that enchanted creature gaining you 2 life and draining your opponents for 2 when it attacks, and Shiny Impetus to again goad a creature and give it +2/+2 and gain you a treasure token whenever it attacks. The more goading action we pack into this deck the better. Endless ways to keep our opponents from not attacking us and slowly chopping down our other opponents' life totals and board states. We're making many vows here, first with Lightning to goad a creature, give it +2/+2 first strike, and Malice to again give it +2/+2 goad it and intimidate. Now the wording doesn't directly say goading, but it's basically more goady goodness. And the last vow is Torment to goad target creature, give it +2/+2 and menace. We've also added in Besmirch that says until end of turn, gain control of target creature and it gains haste, untapping and goading that creature. There's Bloodthirsty Blade to give equipped creature +2/+0 and goaded, and Goblin Diplomats to tap and make each creature attack this turn if able. There is Frontier Warmonger that says whenever 1 or more creatures attack one of your opponents or a planeswalker they control, those creatures gain menace, a perfect card to give your opponents extra incentive not to attack you. And Bedlam, a scary enchantment that says creatures cannot block. Again, perfect if all of your opponent's creatures are goaded. Finally, we've got Famiko the Lowblood that has Bushido X, where X is the number of attacking creatures. All these cards should leave us with such a nice setup that we'll be sat back relaxing whilst our opponents are busy taking each other out of the game. For the next section, we're looking at the card draw and the removal in this budget brew. First up is Azra Oddsmaker that says at the beginning of combat on your turn, you may discard a card. If you do, choose a creature. Whenever that creature deals combat damage to a player this turn, draw 2 cards. And Morbid Opportunist that says whenever 1 or more creatures die, draw a card, with this ability only triggering once per turn. We've got Stormfist Crusader that says at the beginning of your upkeep, each player draws a card and loses a life, and Florian Voldarian Scion that says at the beginning of your post-combat main phase, look at the top X cards of your library where X is the total amount of life lost by your opponents this turn. Exile 1 of those cards and you may play Exile card this turn. And if you haven't already watched our budget Florian deck tech, I absolutely recommend it after this video. There is Ignite the Future to exile the top 3 cards of your library. Until the end of your turn you may play those cards, playing them for free if they are cast from a graveyard. and Theatre of Horrors to exile the top card of your library at the beginning of your upkeep. If your opponent lost life this turn, you may play lands and cast spells exiled this way by Theatre of Horrors. Cards like this are perfect as it gives us extra options to dig deep for those potential Wincons or essential goading cards we need to get out onto the field. We've got Big Dino Italy Primal Storm that when attacks you exile the top card of each player's library, casting any of those spells without paying their mana cost, and Midnight Reaper that says whenever a non-token creature you control dies, Midnight Reaper deals 1 damage to you and you draw a card. We've also packed in plenty of removal with Feed the Swarm to destroy target opponent's creature or enchantment, losing life equal to destroy permanent's mana value, and Terminate to destroy target creature. There is Obnick's Lister Hate Twisted for some more creature removal, and Baleful Mastery to exile target creature or planeswalker. We've added in Royal Assassin to tap and destroy target creature, and Sudden Spoiling with that split second that says creatures target opponent controls become 0/2 and lose all abilities until end of turn. Finally, there is Super Saga, the Akroan War, to gain control of target creature whilst the Akroan War is on the field, also making your opponents attack each combat if able, and that final lore counter that says each tapped creature deals damage to itself equal to its power. Before we finish up with the lands, we're looking at the best of the rest in this deck, and we're starting with some Wincons. First up is Scourge of the Skyclaves, that if you pay kicked, each opponent loses half their life rounded up, and Warlock class with that level 3 ability that says at the beginning of your end step, each opponent loses life equal to the life lost this turn. Get these two cards going in sync and that is the instant win for you. We've got Big Budget Breaker Tree of Perdition to tap and exchange target opponent's life total with Tree of Perdition's toughness, and Blasphemous Act that deals 13 damage to each creature. To make this Blasphemous Act's damage get to that remaining opponent's life total, we've got the indestructible Stuffy Doll that says when Stuffy Doll is dealt damage, it deals that much damage to chosen player. We've also got Pariah's Shield that we can equip to Stuffy Doll that says all damage that would be dealt to you is dealt to equipped creature instead. Again, these cards are a very specific combo and one that if you wanted to bring down the cost of this deck, you could add more goading cards or anything to make this more budget. Continuing on to the best of the rest, we have Brash Taunter, another indestructible that says when it's dealt damage, it deals that much damage to target opponent, and Clackbridge Troll to ETB, and target opponent gets 3 goat tokens. At the beginning of combat on your turn, any opponent can sacrifice a creature. If they do, you tap Clackbridge Troll, gain 3 life, and draw a card. There is Fate Unraveler that when an opponent draws a card, Fate Unraveler deals 1 damage to that opponent, and Frenzied Saddlebrute that says all creatures can attack your opponents and planeswalkers your opponents control as if those creatures had haste. There's Kazul Tyrant of the Cliffs that creates you a 3/3 Ogre if an opponent attacks and you're the defending player, and Ogre Slumlord to create you a 1/1 Rat whenever a non-token creature dies. We've got Relic Robber that when deals combat damage to a player, that player creates a 0/1 token that can't block and at the beginning of their upkeep deals 1 damage to them. And Sir Conrad the Grim to deal all that damage whenever a creature dies, if a creature is put into a graveyard from anywhere other than the field, or if a creature leaves the graveyard, with that added choice to mill each player. There is Rakdos Charm for some graveyard removal, artifact removal, or 1 pinging damage to a controller, and Swiftfoot Boots for some trusty commander protection. There's Revenge of the Ravens to drain your opponents and gain you 1 life whenever a creature attacks you or a planeswalker you control, and Burn Down the House for some big damage options or creature creators. Finally, there is Fevered Suspicion to have each opponent exile the top card of their library until they exile a non-land card. You may cast any number of these cards without paying their mana cost. That card is beyond filthy and one that can totally win you the game. As always, we're finishing up with the lands, and here for the basics we've got a very even 16 Swamp and 16 Mountain split. There are Commander Staples, Command Tower and Exotic Orchard to fix our mana, and finally we've got Evolving Wilds and Terramorphic Expanse to sack and get us a basic land tapped. This is a budget deck after all, so we're really making that land base as budget as possible. Karazikar is an excellent new commander option and one that will certainly be more fun to pilot if you're a fan of politics and shenanigans at the commander table. Be sure to check into Decktober Day 18 tomorrow, where we'll be looking at a very spicy commander that's been released this year. I am looking forward to this one. There we have it, that is the $75 budget Karazikar deck tech. Thanks for watching and don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe for all things MTG. Check out our link tree in the description below for all of our social media and affiliate links. For now though, I am all tapped out, so I'll see you in the next video.